Hello, this is Lawrence Lewis.
And this is Sister Christian.
Today is Thursday, May 6th. This is the Producers Happy Hour, a daily podcast with two producers on opposite coasts, reaching out to our filmmaking and live event community to hear your stories about how the pandemic has affected you, your life, and your work.
Your stories let us know that we're not alone. It's important for us to keep sharing our experiences and ideas because we're all human and we're all going through this. So let's keep chatting.
Keep chatting. It makes us all feel a little bit closer right now when we're all so separated. So email us, or better yet, record a 1 to 2 minute voice memo and send it to us at producershappyhour@gmail.com, or just follow the instructions on our website at producershappyhour.com.
And please share this show with friends, colleagues, family, your second cousin, your high school vice principal. Like, we're all human here. I know. We want these stories to be heard.
That's a new one.
Pull that one out of my ass.
Yeah. We are broadcasting professionals. Christian, today we're chatting with Shaun Campbell, who is an executive producer at VMLYR in Atlanta.
I know. I was so thrilled to speak to him for multiple reasons, because he started off in production at the Apollo and then made his way into agencies. So he knows both sides. He's also in Georgia, Atlanta, where things are starting to open up and people are starting to put their feelers out to see if filming is happening in Atlanta. So I think it was a really good, interesting conversation.
Yeah. So, Christian, here we are, Thursday.
It is Thursday.
Week 8, right?
It feels like it.
Week 862, more like. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm spicy today.
You are very spicy today, and I love it. And I think it's safe-ish to share that we're both getting feelers for work.
Yes, we are.
But I mean, nothing to disclose. It's just I think it's making us both a bit stressed because we have the personalities of, we're freelance. We're being geared to, never turn down work and always do something, but also being able to perform in this environment is crazy. And then,
challenging.
Yeah. And lastly, as I've been harping for 3 weeks now, client expectations. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that goes. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. Same thing. Work calls are coming in and, trying to figure out what's the right thing to do and how best to move forward in these times. I mean, we can talk about this in a second, but fortunately, Los Angeles has come out with new guidelines for how we're moving into next week, and we can talk about that in a minute.
Very interesting.
So at least there's some guidelines. We know a little bit about what's happening here, but there's a lot of questions about how to make film production happen.
Right. And for me, I think that a lot of it is exploratory too. So how much effort, without being paid, are we going to, even though we have the time and it may result in a job, how much effort are we going to expend, doing the things that we would normally do? Like, I don't mind putting a budget together real quick for somebody if I'm on a job already. But, during this time, I just feel like the exploratory calls are, they're interesting. We'll see what they result in.
This Friday is when things are going to start loosening up here, and it's very gradual, right?
I'm overwhelmed by this, by the way.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm a bit overwhelmed by it. The shotgun of information that we receive that is absolutely all over the spectrum. I don't know what to believe, what is safe, what isn't safe. Like, I thought we were going to be locked up longer. I had no idea. Not that we were locked up, but you understand my metaphor.
I do understand. And I did think that May 15th was going to extend to the end of the month here in Los Angeles, but it's not. And as with everything, with a little bit of a grain of salt, I have trust in Garcetti and what the information he's passing on to us.
Yeah.
And he's saying that this decision of what we're going to do on May 8th is completely based on science and based on the numbers. And the numbers are telling us we're good to go into stage 2. Right. So this is going to be stage 2 out of 5 stages.
Right.
And the stage 5, there's no dates on any of this.
Right.
So this is not a made up thing. Stage 5 ends at vaccine.
Right. And so it's the time between now and vaccine are these stages.
Right. And so that time's unknown. So there's no dates on this except for May 8th, tomorrow, is stage 2. And it's a gradual approach to reopening. So the second stage aims to transition Angelenos back to a new reality, in quotes, with a slow and gradual change to some restrictions, while always ensuring that there are adequate safety measures in place. There's a website that has all this information for Los Angeles. It's corona-virus.la/saferla. It's couched in this kind of information that it says, the hard truth is that we will be living with COVID-19 until there's an effective vaccine or treatment for the virus. Only then will the pandemic truly be over.
Right.
So these protective measures will be in place as long as COVID-19 remains a threat to public health. Effective Friday, May 8th, some retail establishments will be allowed to offer online or phone orders and curbside pickup only. And these include florists, toy stores, music stores, bookstores, clothing stores, and sporting goods stores.
Right.
Car dealership showrooms will be open for sales. All of this is with adherence to social distancing and infection control protocols. Restaurants still remain closed to dine-in guests. Face coverings are required for customers and workers at these other essential services. So that's it. And I know they're doing florists specifically because it's Mother's Day weekend. So that's the plan for now.
Yeah. And I mean, from my understanding, those are all specific stores. So like when you go to a bookstore, yes, there's browsing, but you usually are there specifically to buy a book, right? Same with all the type of stores that you just did. They're waiting on places like large electronic stores because you go in there and you just browse, you go
get lost.
So, exactly. Yeah. And so, no, I mean, I think the thinking behind it is quite smart. There's a big risk, right? Especially in the states who are just rushing to open, hair salons. So there's a big risk. And the kind of brutal honesty that I was craving that, Governor Cuomo seemed to feel the need of, just would be nice to hear one of those governors say, you could die if you go do these services.
Yeah.
And they don't. And I think that is a great injustice to people because if you don't inform them, then you take the responsibility for their actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just feel passionate about it because I have a lot of people in the South and who are correctly advising themselves and getting as much information as they can and staying at home and all of those things. But in their communities, they have other people who are not and they're subjected to them.
Yeah.
And they have to be. Yeah. Since we're opening. So it's like a tale of two countries.
Oh, God, tell me about it.
Yeah.
So we have a voice memo to listen to, but I do want to mention this article in Deadline about the SAG chief saying production won't return to normal until vaccine testing and tracing are in place.
Well, I do think that actors are some of the most vulnerable because they cannot wear masks.
That's true. It's an interesting article. I feel like it's a little clickbaity.
Of course.
In the sense
it's Deadline.
It's Deadline. And the term normal won't return to normal until vaccine, right? So what exactly is normal?
We hate that word, in case you guys haven't realized up to this point. We really hate that word. I mean, normal, please.
Yeah. But that is the reality, is that we're going to have to modify until there's a vaccine.
Right.
That's probably what the article should read. Modifications until vaccine, which I think we're all well aware of.
Common sense and such. And, I did want to mention, and I know that this is completely off track, but unemployment rates went up again today by 3.5 million. So we're at 33. So I understand the urge to open up. Believe me, I get it. I guess my heart feels both, feels the need for people to stay home and be safe, and also the need for them to get out and work are colliding right now because their situation is unsustainable. Food shortages are starting to happen in bigger ways. Yeah, it's just, I feel like the weight of the world. I feel it all right now. It's tough.
Yeah, I'm going to put the corona-virus.la/saferla website in our show notes because there's a lot of information there and you should check it out. But Christian, we have a voice memo from Jackie.
I'm very excited.
Wardwer. Yeah, let's take a listen.
Hello, my name is Jackie Wedewer. I'm based out of New York City, and I am a video producer here. I work for a company, and I'm also freelance. So I work 9 to 5 for a company called The Daily Meal. We're a food and drink website owned by Tribune Publishing, which is a giant conglomerate newspaper company that owns several different newspapers that I also make videos for. And freelance, I do some jobs on the side, mainly editing for all sorts of different clients. And right now, yes, I am working. However, Tribune Publishing furloughed almost all of their employees for 3 weeks between May and July. So I will have to be taking a 3-week furlough in July, but at least I know that it's coming. And with freelance jobs, I have had some projects get pushed back. One was pushed back because I was supposed to film in restaurants for a big YouTube channel that wants to broaden into New York City, but they had to obviously push that back while the shutdown keeps restaurant kitchens closed. And another travel blog, they had me edit all of their travel videos, but right now travel content is just really doing poorly everywhere on the internet. So they pushed back some projects there. So I will have projects whenever this is over, so that's good. Advice I have for fellow film professionals during this hard time is to keep your options open and stay flexible. There are still a lot of people out there, even if you can't go and film these projects yourselves, I found that there's a lot of people out there who are creating videos and not really knowing what to do with them, how to edit them, or how to distribute them. So that's where people like us can come in and consult, can help edit their videos, because a lot of people are kind of finding that filming is not the hard part. Wondering, how to put graphics on things and all that is really the difficult part, and that's where I can come in. In my part of the industry, I focus on restaurants and small businesses and doing videos for smaller clients, not necessarily big brands. And I found that people are still wanting to create, still wanting to keep their projects going. Just maybe there's a little bit of pivoting going on, and I'm hopeful that it'll continue to pivot in the right direction, and we'll keep on working through this. Thanks.
I mean, it's human nature to want to keep creating, keep doing, right?
No, I completely agree. And I love her advice. There's always a counterpart to what you can do. Like the services we provide are needed by people who are creating the content right now. Yeah. So figure out how to
service them.
Exactly. Yeah. You provide those services. So great call. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thanks, Jackie, for sending that in. But Christian, we should get on with our interview with Shaun.
Yes.
But first, go to our website, producershappyhour.com. Go to our Take Action page. There's a lot of information there. There's petitions that are important. There's information on all the federal aid that's out there, and places for you to volunteer or donate or help out in any way you can, and also places for you to find help if you need it. So take a look at that. All right, so let's get on with our interview. Shaun Campbell started in the production biz at the world-famous Apollo Theater in New York. Soon after, he went to Warner Vision Entertainment, working on the PBS classic The Magic School Bus, Buns of Steel workout videos, and music videos for Warner Music Group. He moved to Atlanta to become a producer with J. Walter Thompson. He worked there for 9 years producing broadcast TV, online content, and radio spots, generating multiple awards.
Shaun then moved on to work for ASO in Atlanta as head of broadcast production, where he worked for 9 years. Shaun is currently the executive producer of VMLYR Atlanta office and works with the creative teams from all offices. He's worked on just about every major brand you can name. Shaun is a huge comic book fan, movie buff, and enjoys mixing music and spending time with his family.
Let's take a listen.
Thank you for joining us today, Shaun.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
How are you doing? How is your family? How's your health? And you're in Atlanta, correct?
Yes, correct. I'm in Roswell, Atlanta, or Roswell, Georgia, which is north of Atlanta. We're doing well. We had a little issue with a family member who they passed away on Easter Sunday, due to COVID issues, which was a shock to us. And it
hits home.
Yeah, it really does. Because for me, every time I watch like news and they had the numbers of deaths, it became more real for me because my cousin was part of those numbers. So it took me about a week to kind of get out of that funk that I was in due to the fact that, as a family, we kind of rallied together. We prayed and we did everything you're supposed to do to make the outcome a little bit better. And it didn't turn out that way. And it made me question the world. I was angry. It made me question my own faith. And I didn't have the answers. And then I realized that's just part of the human experience, not to have the answers sometimes. And you just have to get through it. But we're doing well. We're coming out of that. And I have a daughter who's graduating from high school and getting ready to go to college. Yeah, I feel bad for her due to the fact that she can't obviously walk across, the stage and get her diploma. And she's come to terms with that a little bit. But we're going to do something special here inside the house.
Nice.
So, Shaun, we know about your background, we know your history, but can you give us a little bit of a rundown of what you were involved in, what you were doing on the weeks prior to the pandemic and the lockdown? Where was your mindset? What was going on?
So it's funny because we were shooting a job actually that week. I think it was like the 12th, 13th, 14th we were shooting.
Wow.
Yeah. And we started getting news about the COVID virus, and it became more intense, right? The president was on television and giving as much information as he could at the time. You know how you're in Video Village and we would all huddle and someone would say, oh, he's on TV and he's giving a press conference. And we all would take the time to kind of find out as much information as possible. But it was a weird time. Our medic on set did have a temperature reader, whatever. Right. And every now and then people would go to get their temperature read. But obviously at that time, we didn't have face masks.
Right.
Because it was just new, right?
That was unknown at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. So we were just hearing things. And I remember it was a topic of discussion throughout the entire shoot. And then they got to a point where our director said, hey, he was from New Zealand. And he said, hey.
Another layer.
Exactly. So we all rallied together and he said, hey, Shaun, I just want to be completely honest with you. I don't want to get stuck here. I have 2 little kids in New Zealand. I have a wife. I'm thinking about leaving a day earlier. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. And I was kind of expecting that due to the fact that flights were getting canceled at the time. Yeah. So he said that we were lucky to have the EP of the production company at our shoot. So he had a conversation with me and I said, hey, let's do this. The last day we were going to be shooting drone footage. So I said, hey, I'm willing to entertain him going back home because I understand the situation that we're in. And I would hate for him to get stuck here with his kids. Right. I mean, his kids they would be terrified, not knowing where their father is and when he's going to come home.
Totally.
I didn't want to be responsible for that.
Of course.
But at the same time, I've got a job to do.
You have to balance the two.
Exactly. So we got together and we decided, look, due to the fact that drone guys were there at our shoot, let's go ahead and download everyone what the expectations of that shoot is. And maybe myself and our creative director can go and shoot that. So the director took us through everything as far as his expectations and his vision. And we said, okay, cool, get on the next flight. We were in the middle of the shoot, so he shot what he needed to shoot for that day. Right. He got on a flight, I believe, that morning. We went out to Athens, Georgia, and we shot some drone footage, myself, creative director, and an art director. And it was fun, man. It was really, really good. So I'm waiting for my DGA card to come in the mail.
Exactly.
I'm sure it's in the mail.
Exactly. But you had to have those discussions with client and such and expectations and
exactly. And the client was going through it with us.
They were there.
It was a shared experience. Sure. Yeah, there was a shared experience, and everything that we shot to date before that happened, the client was extremely happy with. So they felt comfortable with that. Right. They knew it was just drone footage. So it was cool.
It's great that you were able to kind of collaborate and understand the weight of the situation and be able to communicate with your clients and make that situation work. That's really important. Yep. I feel like that's really important to what's going to be happening going forward.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, moving forward, let's talk about board flow and how are the discussions going with your brands now? Are they eager to get their message out? Are they waiting to see who does it first? And then 2, when we do start back up, have you prepared them at all for those types of expectations?
We've had a conversation amongst ourselves at the agency, and the collective thought is to keep moving forward, right? Just keep pressing forward. In Atlanta, in our Atlanta office, we have a shoot coming up in July. So I did inform my creative team that let's come up with options, and those options being live action, and those options being animation or something that we can put together via just an edit. right?
Right.
But it's really hard because creatives that's their passion, like to create that art, and then you don't want to get in the way of that.
Right.
You want them to kind of push forward, which is what those guys did, because I did see the creative that we're presenting to our clients. And the goal is to just do what we normally do, but at the same time, educate ourselves as to what the landscape is going to look like when that time comes. Unfortunately, we don't know what the landscape is going to look like.
No, everyone has an opinion.
Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a theory. But we had a conversation with Tool, and we had a conversation with Jason at To Spears and Arrows.
Right.
And we're going to do a creative discussion with Jason next week, so he can kind of take us through his thoughts. What's tricky about all of this is that there's no universal way of doing things.
No.
Everyone is just like, hey, I need to survive. This is how I know how to survive.
Right.
And I think this is where relationships are extremely important. Extremely important.
Relationships and collaboration.
Exactly.
Very transparent collaboration.
Exactly.
Communication.
Right. So I'm having discussions. I mean, the thought is that we would shoot in July, but I'm having discussions now because I need to go back to my creatives and client and let them know these are the options that we have on the table. And if you're willing to trust us with the difference in the process, we can make something happen. What that something is, I don't know right now, unfortunately.
Right. The creative maybe need to be tailored to the possibilities, the current possibilities.
Right. But one thing I do know, and it makes me feel good, is that we are a group of problem solvers.
Don't say.
Right? That's what we do. I mean, the scale is a bit larger, but I feel confident that we will figure it out. I really
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Has your agency put together any sort of production protocols, or are you kind of just relying on the different production partners that you have?
Well, I think that's why we're having these conversations to kind of figure out what makes sense to do. Unfortunately, we have a lot of things going on. We have safety that we have to think about. We have people's livelihoods that we have to think about. And of course, we have our client. So you have art, and then you have the commerce side of the business that you have to consider.
As always. But in new ways, in much bigger much
it's life and death now.
Right.
It's life and death.
Yes. For sure. But I do know that you can't get scrappy, because what we're considering doing is it's not really new when you really think about it. You think about, like, I live in Georgia, Roswell, Georgia, and Atlanta's the hub of music right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
And 100%. The mentality of producing a music video has always been hustle, right? Yeah. You don't always get a permit. You kind of shoot, you get it done, and then you move on. So it has been done, like it's being done. But once again, we have to kind of engage in how does this process work at our level.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which is very different.
Yep.
You're in Atlanta, you're in Georgia. Georgia is starting to open up.
Correct.
Have you been hearing of film shoots happening locally, or what's the tone there? Is everyone being safe and ready to get back to work safely, or is it a little all over the place?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a little bit all over the place because of the fact that people need to put food on their table then, you know?
Yeah. Desperation.
Desperation. They get pretty desperate. You know, you make friends with the crew, and you keep in touch with production supervisors, and you engage them in conversations to kind of get a feel of what's going on. I had a conversation about 2 weeks ago with a friend of mine who's a production supervisor, and she said, as far as production is concerned, like advertising and film, there's nothing really going on. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to know of someone who, you know, is a DP who has camera equipment at home, is willing to go rogue and do his own thing.
Right.
There's a huge risk to that. And as tempting as it is to indulge or entertain that, I don't think any brand wants to be associated with taking that risk, right?
Yeah.
And I think now the way that we're all communicating and glued to our devices, that it would be pretty well known immediately.
Right.
Brands taking risks right now are, you know, few and far between, I would think.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we won't get political, but do I love Miss Bottoms? Yes, I do.
Yeah. She's awesome. She's awesome. Yeah. And I want to be careful as to not get in that direction or go in that direction.
No. I'm just saying that she's a force.
Right. So you have the city of Atlanta, and then you have Georgia, and she's trying to do her own thing, like a lot of cities, and they have their own agenda. And I think right now, as far as production is concerned, Tyler Perry Studios and everywhere else, they're like, hey, let's kind of just chill and let the science tell us what the next move is. Right.
That's interesting, because doesn't he have a complex where he could sequester or quarantine crew, and there's possibility? I've heard rumors of possibilities of things happening, but
I don't know what those things are. Obviously, people need to make money and put food on the table. So that becomes another thing that you need to consider. Like, what are your moral obligations as a human being? Is it to entertain or meet the needs of people from a health standpoint, or meet the needs of the people from a livelihood standpoint?
Right. To the livelihood standpoint, the other thinking, at the national level is exactly that. People are so desperate to get back to work and return to normal life that they're going to take bigger risks.
Right.
Without
they're going to assume bigger risks without protection and without really even evaluating.
Right.
And so, us putting out work, there's a moral question even behind that.
Correct.
If we're not fully prepared, if we don't have testing down, if we don't have everything in place to make sure we can return to work safely.
Right. And there's a sense of anger as far as people not being able to work. And I would, when you're in a situation like that, people tend to want to have someone to blame.
Oh, yeah.
Right. As to why they can't put food on the table. Like, it's because of someone. And man, I would hate to be that someone.
Yes.
Oh, right. And on the flip side, and to your point, like, I would hate to be the production that crew members brought something home to their families.
Correct.
Brought COVID.
Correct.
Yeah. You could try everything and do your very best and wipe down every surface and whatever, but one person misses one doorknob once, and then we don't know because you can't see it. Is there anything, we kind of call it like BCV before COVID. We're going into ACV coming up.
We're designing our own utopia.
Right. Oh, I know. Mine's a great place to be. But changes in the industry, like, are there any practices or changes that you would like to see moving forward that didn't work, or maybe we were just doing it because it was habit or protocol or whatever? That could be filming wise, or it can be, starting where the ideas come from, since you know both worlds.
I think there needs to be a sense of humanity to creative, right?
Yeah, that's a good answer.
And what I mean by that is, as an artist, right, and grooming your baby, if you will, you tend to look inward because this is your expression of art. I think that's going to change because now there comes a sense of responsibility. Like, what is the right thing to do? Because in order for someone to execute their art, what are the risks they're willing to take?
Right.
So there becomes an issue of safety. There needs to be some type of protocol in place that if someone walks on set, that they are not risking the lives and the health of other people. And there needs to be some type of protocol, if you will, as to how we go about doing that.
Right.
And what does that do or mean for the job? I'm thinking that, exactly. Typically on some smaller shoots, you have your pre-pro and then you shoot the next day.
Yeah.
I think that's going to change.
No.
There's going to have to be a mandatory down day.
At least a down day.
Yeah, exactly. Between the pre-pro and the shoot, for you to go in and make sure everything is sanitary, make sure that everything is in place to make people feel comfortable from an optics standpoint, because that's going to mean a lot, especially when you're dealing with talent and they have to kind of get in their zone to perform. And if they feel uncomfortable on a set, you may see that in their performance.
Oh, 100%.
And then as a creative person and or director, you're trying to get that magical moment in the performance. If this is weighing on them, it may take a lot of takes to get to that point where you're satisfied with their performance. So I would say that would be key as far as what the expectations are regarding shooting. And then something as simple as like, craft services.
Yeah. It's a big question mark. How do we handle that?
Yeah. Is Panera Bread now doing our craft services and putting together little box lunches?
Might have to be. Yeah.
That's prepackaged and everything else. You got your Rice Krispie treats because you can't have like open fruit.
Yeah. No open fruit, no bowls, no things that people can touch and share.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any advice since, as producers, we are facilitators of creativity.
Right.
Do you have any advice for any creatives out there in our industry as to what they can be doing or how they can kind of get through this time and come back into this, whatever the new normal is going to be?
I think it's really important to stay informed right now. I think it is your duty to do that. And I don't want to dictate how you stay informed, whether it be social media or you're watching TV or reading the trades. But I think you do have a responsibility to do that, to see what's going on, because this is not the time to be selfish, if you will, because this is a global crisis that we're in. And we need to be responsible and do our due diligence to make sure that we are just not selfishly thinking about ourselves, but humanity as a whole. Once again, I made mention of executing your baby, your dream. Yeah. And sometimes we get caught up in that and look inward too much. And it's okay to be selfish. That's fine when it comes to art, right?
That's human as well.
Yeah, that's human as well. And that's your expression. And I totally get that. But we live in a different time right now. We really do. And who knows? You may be part of the silver lining. And that's meaningful. Nice. That is very meaningful, Yeah.
Do your part. And it starts with information and staying at home.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we're doing as a family. Right. We're staying home. And I got to tell you, the Zoom calls are fantastic.
They are. They are.
I was on a Zoom call with my in-laws this past weekend till 4:30 in the morning. I went from my basement to our kitchen table, then it went to my bedroom. Like my wife and I were literally in the bed together, and my eyes were closing. And I could hear my brother-in-law saying, "Shaun, get up!"
I love it.
But it was great, and we needed that. We weren't calling it therapy, but it was therapeutic.
It is. It's part of the mental health that we need to be aware of too during this time.
Right. Human connection is a human need.
Well,
Christian, I have one more question.
Oh, okay. Do it.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here.
Do it.
What's the mood at the agency right now? How's everyone at the agency handling all this? Is the morale high or low, or where are you guys?
I think there's a little bit of both. I think people are just going through it day to day. I think our agency, and I'm not just saying this to protect my paycheck, but our agency has done a really, really good job of keeping people informed,
that's good to hear.
Keeping people entertained, and keeping people responsible to others, meaning, you are your brother's keeper. Check up on people, see how they're doing.
Oh, that's nice.
When my cousin was going through dialysis and she was in a hospital, we did like a prayer group. And I don't want to get religious. I'm a spiritual person, but not a religious person. And there was like a prayer group. And I was talking to a coworker of mine who's really just a great person. And I was telling him about it. And I sent him the invitation, and I'm on the prayer group, and I hear his voice on the call. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
And,
that's
and
lovely.
That meant the world to me. And there was another coworker whose mother, they were thinking may have had COVID because she wasn't feeling well, and she was going to the hospital. And he mentioned her name, and that's the stuff that just kind of makes you kind of get through the day and make you stay hopeful as far as humanity is concerned. And that's a huge testament to our agency because it fosters those type of relationships.
Right.
We've had, recently had a Cinco de Mayo call where one of the young ladies in our business affairs department was making margaritas. Right?
That's awesome.
I may have done that too.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. We had another one where a DJ was DJing, and you got an opportunity to kind of dance around and just chill. Right. And then we
sounds like you guys are having fun.
Yeah, I know. We are.
We're just trying to keep morale. I mean, like you're doing it right.
Yeah, you know? and our John Cook, our CEO, he was barbecuing the other day. Grilling a steak.
Sweet.
What's funny about that is, prior to this whole crisis, we probably wouldn't have entertained something like that.
Oh,
right,
no.
Which is what I was going to say, is that it's like your team has shifted from a work team to like a support team.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to help each other get through this.
For sure.
I imagine there's still business to take care of.
Yeah, for sure. I got to tell you, I've been putting in like 11, 12-hour days.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that they're working more now than they were before.
Yeah. I've had this conversation with a couple of people quite often, actually, because people tend to ask this question. You take for granted some of the conversations that take place in passing in the office. Just stepping into someone's stepping into someone's office, or you're getting a cup of coffee and someone says, "Hey, we got a meeting," or the client likes X, Y, and Z, but we need to make these changes. And you're like, "Oh, okay, cool," or whatever. Now those conversations are in a meeting, like Teams, or it's in an email, and you're like, wow, like I get a lot of emails every day. And some of those emails probably would have been discussed just kind of in someone's office.
Popping by somebody's desk.
Right, yeah. Exactly. So we are definitely engaged way more than we were pre-COVID, for sure. Yeah. And the work is getting done because one of our clients, they're just moving forward. And I think it's a good thing because it's keeping people working, it's keeping people engaged, and there's a sense of normalcy to it all.
Good. Yeah, right? That's important.
Yeah, and as far as mental health is concerned, you need those distractions. Oh, yeah. Like, I love going in my basement and getting away from my family.
It's the only reason to have a basement. Right, exactly. I know.
And it's like, Daddy's working,
You have that, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been cool. But it's a huge testament to VML that they're keeping us moving forward. It's a huge testament to our clients who are being collaborative with us and just pushing ahead. And if we, get to a point where we have obstacles, once again, we're problem solvers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll
figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Well, Shaun, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. Before you go, we'd like to ask everybody, when we know normal's not a thing, like new normal, old normal, whatever, but when we're able to
be in each other's presence again.
Slack up on these guidelines, what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to presenting a piece of creative to a production company.
Nice.
And them saying, yeah, we can do this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then me being able to tell my creatives, hey, we're greenlit. Everything is a go. We're going to have a call with a director on Tuesday.
Wow.
That's so lovely. Mine is a shot and a beer across the street, but you go for that creative crap. I'm kidding.
I know.
That was so lovely.
Very professional.
This has been a passion job for me.
Yeah,
and I'm an extrovert. I'm not an introvert by any means. And selfishly speaking, I need those connections.
You need that people.
I really, really do need those connections. And being able to do that would be huge for my own sanity, to be honest.
Exactly.
It's a little slice of normality, which we would maybe take for granted. Just setting up those calls and when the beginning of a job.
Reaching out to your production companies.
Yeah. It's a relationship business.
Yeah. I love it. It is.
Yeah.
Shaun, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your insight.
I appreciate it. This actually has been very therapeutic for me.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Us too. Yeah. That's the point. Yeah. Like, this is our free therapy.
It's a pleasure.
All right, Shaun. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Wow. that little slice of normality that we've taken for granted, the phone call of just saying, okay, we're good to go.
I know.
At the start
and
of
I'm just
job.
like, please, can I drink in public and touch people? But he's right. I mean, he had so many great, positive and warm and light-hearted things to say.
Yeah.
Especially it's not the time right now to be selfish. Inform yourself and understand that, please, humanity, we need to help each other.
Absolutely.
Well, Lawrence, this show is edited and co-produced by Rob Bloomkey.
Artwork and logo design by Christopher Daniels.
And our music was composed by Kyle Puccia.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We are back tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay connected, stay active, but we still have to do it staying at home.
Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Clean your phone because it's gross. It's disgusting. You've been in the bathroom. And if you do have to go outside, wear a mask. If you need a mask, then I will send you one. Just let me know.
Yeah. Hit us up at producershappyhour@gmail.com for your mask needs, or if you want to share your story with us.
Lawrence, how do people reach you directly?
You can reach me at lawrencetLewis.com, or for voiceover work, voiceoflawrence.com. Christian, how do people get a hold of you?
SisterChristianProduces.com.
.com. All right, all.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.